Deep in the heart of Africa, nestled near Chanika border, lies a treasure trove of natural wonders and untold stories. Welcome to Murola, Kisoro, a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. Join us on an unforgettable journey as we explore the breathtaking lava-dammed lakes of Chahafi and Kayumbu, teeming with birdlife. We will venture into the scenic landscapes of Murora and stand at the crossroads of history at the border pillar number 7, marking the boundary between Uganda and Rwanda. We will also uncover the fascinating lives of border communities living between two nations and delve into the region's rich history, including its significant role in World War I. Let's embark on the incredible journey together.
You're most welcome to Lake Chahafi. This is one of the smallest lakes in the region. 1 square kilometer, but covered with papyrus. A good habitat for birds because they find it as home for nesting or breeding and feeding. It is also surrounded by colorful water lilies, and these lilies also attract certain spectacular birds like jacana, common moorhen, black crake, and many others. Enjoy the calm waters. The lake is peaceful, free from bilharzia, free from hippos, free from crocodiles. If we have a lucky day, we may sight the otters and Uganda's national bird, the grey-crowned crane, or otherwise known as crested crane. We shall also walk to the World War I trail, trace the history of this area, and why Kisoro, or the greater part of Kigezi, is part of Uganda and not Rwanda, as there are stories and experiences relating to how this part, which was formerly part of Rwanda Kingdom, was carved out to be part of Uganda. My name is Nelson Mugisha. I'm the product owner of Lake Chahafi Resort. I'm glad to host you here and to be your party guide on this excursion. Thank you.
Jitaho. You can see some weavers nesting over the papyrus. They have got a perfect art of weaving their nest, just like their name, the weavers. It's derived from the way they weave their nests, and they also do communal nesting. Most of the times they nest together on weak branches. Reason, they have their predators, the big eagles, which feed on them, and the snakes. So they just target weak branches which are mostly hanging over the lake to avoid predators. It's usually the role of male weavers to weave the nests. Then it weaves 2 to 3 nests. Then the female will come and choose the best out of the 3. Then the rest, after choosing the best, the rest will be dismantled. If it doesn't find one that suits its choice, then it will walk away and find another perfect male which has done a better nest. Okay, straight at 12 o'clock, there is an African open-billed stork, and it's a perfectly mute stork that never sings, never calls. It's always silent. It has a bill that never closes. Yeah.
Here we are pathfinders of 110 years of existence since Kigezi was grounded to be part of Uganda after the Anglo-Belgians defeated the German attacking Rwanda soldiers, as we shall be heading to the border post or the informal boundary pillar. That is one of the boundary pillars that was set up during the 1884 Berlin Conference. But the meeting which was held in Germany, in Europe, in 1885, its impact started being felt later, like after 30 years, because 1884 and 1915, you see the period Africans were not even sure when and how their countries had been balkanized. So follow me as we go to the border post or the boundary pillar, not the border post, because this area is not a gazetted place, but 1 out of 5 people you see crossing here will be from Rwanda. Here we are at boundary pillar number 7. The demarcation of Uganda started from Mount Sabinyo, where pillar number 1 starts. So that means we are now at one international, most important international point, 7 in Mupaka village. Mupaka is a Kiswahili word meaning boundary, separating Uganda and Rwanda. But as you can see, there is nothing else that shows that I'm in Uganda or Rwanda. The farmland is the same. The owners of the pieces of land is the same. However, of course, as Ugandans or Rwandese at that time, they were not part of the demarcation of boundary pillars. The information later followed them, telling them that, look, for you belong to Uganda, and the one who is this side belong to Rwanda. As we shall see, there was a meeting that was held at Nyagasozi, or the hill overlooking Lake Chahafi, that was sort of a debrief about how these boundaries were fixed. And later on, there was a conflict that ensued in regard to the German colonial Rwanda, which wanted to regain the territories that had gone to the British after the Belgians had handed over Kigezi to the British, but which Kigezi was part of the colonial Rwanda. It even had chiefs, or who they called abatware, abatwariraga umwami. And at that time it was Nyindo, wari umutware wa Bufumbira, ariwe abasirikare b'Abajamani babwiye umwami ngo bamusapotinge baze kumufasha kurwana igice cya Bufumbira cyari cyabaye igice cya Uganda cy'abazungu b'aba British bari bashikiye ngo bakirwanirire bakigarurize. And that war by coincidence happened during World War I, as we shall see when we head to Mura Hill. And the winners of the day were the Anglo-Belgians against the German forces which were coming from Rwanda. They had a base behind here, shortly behind here on Lake Burera. A place they used to call Murola is where they had fortified, and this is the path they used going to attack the fortified base of the Anglo-Belgians on top of Mura Hill that is overlooking Lake Chahafi. Climbing Mura Hill, which is an eponymous hill that is named after Murora sub-county, but now became Chahafi Town Council, because down is Lake Chahafi, and then the administration divided Chahafi Town Council and Murola sub-county. Murora sub-county stayed in the mountains or the hills near Rwanda as well, but this part of the valley is now Chahafi Town Council, at least by the administration of today. The main reason we are climbing Mura Hill, we said we are pathfinders of tracing events and circumstances that happened 110 years ago. So we are going to see the trenches, which were fortified trenches where the Anglo-Belgians hid for almost the whole day, taking cover from the attacking Germans from Rwanda where we were. So this is the arrow-shaped trench. Yeah, so this is the arrow-shaped trench, which as of now is 110 years old. This explains the erosion of soil going back to the trench and nothing much else. But you know the science of a trench, arrow shape. They used to dig a trench, cover it with rocks on top, put soil on top. Then when fragments and all the enemy starts sharing, you go and just hide at the end of the tunnel. So you don't get any fragments, anything hiding to you. However, on January 1st, 1915 is when the German attacking forces of Rwanda emerged from the place where we had been to, commanding the path that goes up to Lake Burera, and started sharing with volleys and Maxim guns to the fortified base of the Anglo-Belgians, who had fortified this Mura Hill as one of their strategic places to command views and intelligence against the German attacking Rwanda. And this was during World War I. You know, World War I started in 1914, and Germans were in the camp against the Anglo-Belgians. But ask why the Anglo-Belgians had a coalition force is because, first of all, this part of Bufumbira, or part of Kigezi, which is Bufumbira, was under the administration of Chief Nyindo. The Germans who had occupied Rwanda convinced the king that they can support him and they fight against the British and regain the territories he had lost. And these included the Bufundi, Bufumbira, and the Ruchiga. The forces came and attacked the Anglo-Belgians on this hill, and the Anglo-Belgians pretended as if they had lost the camp, so started retaliating at around 9 p.m. The shelling had started at 6 a.m. Actually, some books say 5 a.m. And the Germans thought they had actually overrun the camp and destroyed everything, whereas these soldiers of the Anglo-Belgians, commanded by Captain Sullivan, were hiding in the trenches, but they had also built banders. So the banders were shelled and put down, and the enemy thought he had actually defeated the Anglo-Belgians. At 3 p.m. they retaliated, fought, sharing bullets, killed 1 German soldier and 6 Banyarwanda men were injured, and they defeated the Germans. And at the end, we still find that Bufumbira, part of Kabare, which was called the Bufundi, Ruchiga, and the Murora, all are still part of Uganda, but the story would have been otherwise had the war of January 1st, 1915 been lost by the Anglo-Belgians. In fact, 1 Belgian soldier was promoted with a title called, I don't know French, but it's called Croix something, we shall find out. And it's because by them joining forces with the English is because the Belgians had actually were the first people to occupy Bufumbira and Bufundi, and on amicable grounds had handed over Bufumbira and Bufundi to the British. And for them they stayed with the Congo, Ruchuro, Jomba. So they still had coalition forces, they were fighting together because of World War I. But secondly also because they had agreed to share this part of the country amicably without any force. In fact, the same story of Bufumbira going to Uganda is the same experience of how West Nile that has Arua was handed over from Belgian Congo to the English who are taking over Uganda. So this force after January 15 lasted here for another 3 weeks, for which 2 weeks later 6,000 natives attacked, commanded by Ntochibiri, attacked the force here, claiming that they had come to pay taxes, because remember those days they were paying a hard tax as a form of tribute to the British government. So they had come to fight, but they were commanded by Ntochibiri, who thought he's fighting for Chief Nyindo and he will be rewarded once Rwanda takes over this camp or this part of Uganda, which was Bufumbira. Okay. So Mura Hill, especially where these trenches are, has a significant story that has not been told by many and is also not known by many, but in fact which has a significance of the modern day country Uganda, and why Kigezi is not in contention between Rwanda and Uganda. The reason being there was a decisive win of the English in a coalition force with the Belgians against the German attacking Rwanda. You also know that after World War I, Germany was so weakened it lost all the colonies it had in Africa, and explains how Belgian took over Rwanda after the German, because Germany had been weakened. So again on this hill, because all the command of Captain Sullivan with the Uganda Police Service Battalion was fortified here, they left Lake Bunyonyi and came and camped here in anticipation of the attack, like I said. And remember, the British or the English had just occupied Bufundi and Bufumbira from the Belgians, but of which Belgians had also forcefully grabbed it from the administration of Rwanda Kingdom. So there were some remnants of the kings that still were not satisfied with the English taking over this part, and somehow they felt that if they allied with the German attacking forces, they would be rewarded with the leadership. And one of them was Katureje, who was leading Bufundi, and hence he commanded his natives, and they seized all the properties, cows, animals. They put them on Lake Bunyonyi on Bwama Island, and it was difficult to access Lake Bunyonyi without boats. And when this Captain Sullivan and his team, in order to get back and redeem all the seized assets on Ubwama, had to command 100 men, strong force of 100 men, to carry a giant canoe from Lake Chahafi here down for over a period of 2 weeks, for over an elevation of 7,000 feet over Bugamba Hill through a Chuya forest, and pressed it down on Lake Bunyonyi. And you can imagine 110 years ago, people carrying a giant canoe in this kind of terrain that we have, to go and rescue other forces which were cooperating with them, which Katureje and the other local leaders thought that they were allying with the British or the English, against their kingdoms. Also, the fact is that the English were using divide and rule, but were not as harsh as the Belgians were. So they never used to demand a hard tax or even forceful labor against the natives they found. So they found it easy to cooperate and also occupy these new territories. There was another factor of Nyabingi movement, which was a spirit or religion of the people who occupied this land, whereby they used it as a medium of protection against the Muzungu with a gun, to some extent of even believing that it will turn guns into water. And one explanation is also from Muhumuza or Nyiraga Humuza, who appeared at Ikumba and was recruiting masses of people, promising them that she will give them cows and milk if they fight against the British, who had actually who had taken away a territory of Rwanda Kingdom. And it is also believed that Muhumuza was among the wives of Rwabugiri. And in Rwanda, during that time, there had been a succession war whereby Rutarinwa had just died and moving to other territories claiming they are sons of the king and they want to regain back their kingdom. They were searching for a drum called Karinga, and this drum had actually been burnt together with Rutarinwa at the War of Ruchunchu. I am not here to go into the details of War of Ruchunchu, but those who have interest can actually go and make research about it and find the reasons why it happened like that.